So it's the 26th. It's Thanksgiving now, and it's like 4:23 p.m. And you see where I'm at. Where I'm at. I'm. I haven't left my apartment today. I haven't even opened my door downstairs. I decided that I wanted to sleep in a little bit, and I was. Let me see. I was up early, like 9:10. Um, I did a few things, and you can tell from my that digital journal that a few things is, just can be a lot sometimes when you don't have any energy. Um, so anyhow, moving along, I decided around noon that I wanted to get a few more hours of sleep, so I set an alarm for 3 hours. They're doing something to my mouth right now that's keeping me from moving the muscles in my mouth to form words. So you're gonna hear them slur. You've been hearing that in my videos lately. So around noon, I decided I wanted to sleep. I set an alarm for 3 hours, and I attempted to rest. They would not allow me to. Under normal circumstances, we're talking about circadian rhythm, okay, like the normal sleep and wake cycle. I can go to sleep like that. I can go to sleep. It takes me nothing to go to sleep. The minute that I decide, it's a mental thing. You go. When I want the body to shut down and rest, the body shuts down and rests. When I want the body to wake, it wakes. And sometimes it wakes because it can perceive. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to perceive. It's membranes. What's going on around me. When I feel something getting nearer, when I feel something taking place near me, I wake. And I'm able to catch it. And that's kind of what they've been manipulating. They did that a lot last year when they were still fucking these bitches up. They was waking me up for it. So I catch it. So I slept. I laid in the living room for like 2 hours, and then I went in my bedroom and I tried like a half hour there. Then I spent the last half hour in my living room. No sleep. No sleep. So I'm going to pick up with this smearing campaign. I told you that it took place. It started around March time frame. That's when I noticed that 315 down, which is the apartment beneath me, her boyfriend, the one you just seen pull in, was getting acquainted with folks. But around that time, that same time, this is like after I gave her the letter, like just politely asking that she removed her items from the backyard. And there's so much more stuff that goes into this. But when those videos come out, like you'll get to see. You'll get to see all the things that you don't see. My videos are no different than my digital journal. I mean, not my digital journal, but like the cursing and spelling that I took note of, whether it takes place days later, weeks later, or months later, it was already written. So you'll see like me note something that they said. Sometimes I make video notes of these things and they play out. So anyhow, I noticed that they were starting to mingle a little bit, but like I said, around that time they were still trying. He was still in April. I had a video where he was trying to talk to me while I was on my porch, and I asked him, I said, just from now on when you see me, could you not speak? And that's on the internet. And because it was a different agent using the identity, you know what I'm saying? Like, they put particular folks in place to do particular things. Like, these other ones can't help but exude hate. You get what I'm saying? Like, they can't help themselves. They hate me that much. And then they'll put someone up to showing up and trying to like smooth things over. And they'll also, reframe the mind to assist. Okay, so that took place in April, and then in May I spent those 22 days inside. When I made those two videos, part A and part B, 22 days inside, falsifying DNA cells. I spent a lot of time on my porch, like I always do, but sometimes I'm gone for like hours at a time during the day. Like at the library, and sometimes that's straight through, and sometimes there's a break in it, which means that I come back for a short while before I return to the library. But in that case, like I said, I never left. They make the changes most of the time when I leave the area. So not when I leave and go to the library per se, but when I leave, like if I should catch the bus and hit the city or, hit another side of town, that's when they're making these changes that they don't expect me to, that they know I'll recognize. So, like I said, during that time, I noticed a difference in the activity versus last year. So all I did in that video was note that the activity in the neighborhood was different than last year. That's it. I didn't go into any of the details because there's so much to establish prior to that, like the videos that you've watched prior to this one. You needed to know all that information in order to understand why, not why I would note it, but how it's being used. To understand how it's being used. Okay, so also in May, that audio should do okay. Also in May, um, there ended up, like, after I rejected them, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of demonic relationship that is, like, it imposes its problem on her and expects her to act, like, otherwise it's trying to run her show, like, but when it comes to something like, he feel like actually, put them in a bad spot as far as parallel reality goes. He depends on her to, like, carry her ass to the motherfucking courthouse and act like something was done to her when it was done to him. Her and I have had one argument. Him and I have had two. But he put her up to it, like, and she filed a restraining order and she couldn't provide any evidence. I'm the only one with evidence that they're stalking me. Like, her boyfriend's stalking me. And when you look at old divine disclosure, anyhow, so she ended up calling the cops on me after the argument that I had with her, because she got scared. She got scared and she called the cops. So, that's also on the internet. These arguments, let me see. Of the three, two are on the internet. One is in Nuisance Neighbor. The thread on Facebook. And the other one is in my original inventory video on YouTube. So in the middle of that inventory, because it had taken place around that time, I talked about it then and included, the video clip that's associated with it. That last argument, it took place at like 4 a.m. or something, 4 or 5 a.m. It was so ridiculous. It was like early morning. And I didn't capture that one. Because when I went outside with intent to fucking snap his neck. I was gonna kill him. And it's crazy. Because you'll get to see a lot of these things play out. You'll get to see what was being done to me prior to something like that taking place, scientifically, the type of attacks that was being made on my body, the extreme attacks that were being made on my body and mind. And when I say my mind, I'm talking about in order to access the systems, the body's 11 systems, you have to, that's through the mind that you access these systems. So the nervous system, like contracting and applying a lot of pressure and pain to the back or any part of the body for that matter, that's got a lot to do with the nervous system. It has nothing to do with like, I'm always in touch with reality. You should be able to tell that by now. That's just like not even a question. So hearing slamming doors downstairs, it's like that timeline and dimensions thing. It knows what's going on and what's taking place right now, and it's trying to let me know. And they'll also confirm like you're aggravating us, you know what I'm saying, and they'll do something else. So you'll get to see the attacks that was taking place, what was being done to me, and then you'll get to see my reaction, and you'll get to see how all those things played out. Like in every situation, I'm innocent, and it's gotten to a point where it's the same vicious cycle over and over again. I'm supposed to be talking about this smearing campaign. Okay, so look, and I put a timeline somewhere. I can't recall where right at the time. I put a timeline somewhere, and it talked about when it was initiated, when it began to spread, and when it was full blown by, and then this stuff manifested. Something manifested from it in September. Something manifested from it in September, and it's just weird, around the time, this is like end of July, early August. Around that time, the library had just opened back up, so now I have a resource, and I also filed my UCC on like the 31st. My financial statement that's associated with me reserving my rights. So during that same time, out of nowhere, she went to the courthouse, and she was acting like she was me. Like I told you, they try to live out a lot of your old experiences. But it's crazy. I said that I would get relief from that at a later date. So, and at the beginning of August, I was also in the process. So right around the time I finished with like the UCC, I was writing a complaint, or in the middle of writing a complaint to the landlord, and I notarized it and sent it to him. All the formal complaints you can find on Facebook. Any complaint that I've ever written is on Facebook. Make sure you read those. Make sure if you're just trying to get to the facts, because there's going to be a lot of different takes on this matter, not in terms of vindication. I vindicated myself. There will be a lot of takes in terms how much folks want to know, because the amount of content, and I talked about this in a whole video, the amount of content that I have can be overwhelming. When this hits the world, to some folks, it's going to be overwhelming. So they're going to be like, so where do I start with this? Where do I go with this? And this is first. You know what I'm saying? So like the first thing you'll see on my Facebook page is the video that I did about my social media content. It's an overview of the isolated matter. And then underneath that is my last video. And my last video has 5-6 parts, because part E I had to divide. So, if you're that person that's looking like, where do I go? Start with formal complaints. Print them all off. Print the formal complaints off. If you're looking for things that support those claims, look at the date and then look at the videos associated with that date. Keep in mind that a lot of my content was compromised in 2000. It was compromised and corrupted in 2018. The corporate entities that were attacking me were serious about business. That's why I'm experiencing a lot of the problems that I'm experiencing now, up to and including the conspiring situation that took place in January of 2020. They don't want to have to take their, for the attack that was made on me in 2018, they gained a lot. And then it got to a point where they were like, well, she doesn't fall into this category anymore. She's been housed, and we've been lying and saying she isn't housed in order to, justify the type of DNA that we're taking from her. So we're going to have to do something, like we're going to have to do something that we're not supposed to do and hope that she doesn't act on it right away. And if she does decide to act on it right away, which I did, there's going to be interference. Those are just the things that they have on their side, making things disappear and, holding things up and all kind of stuff. So, the smearing campaign, corporate entities, the smearing campaign. I wrote the letter to the landlord. It was full blown. I even noted in that letter to the landlord, or in that formal complaint to the landlord, like even your lawn care guys coming up acting like they making it known that you got a problem with me. Where's your problem coming from? That you ain't expressed. I didn't do nothing but ask you not to come by no more. And that was July of 2019. But in the meantime, check this out. Let me tell you how the devil will try you. Like, when I moved in here, I'm like, I don't have a problem. And I told you what was going on around that time. I'm going to have to fast forward. Because this has a lot to do with 323 too. It's all this, everything that took place on the 5th of September has a lot to do with you're removing the thoughts from my mind. It has a lot to do with 323, 302, and the landlord, and maybe even potentially my brother. So, give me a moment. I'm trying to think what would be the best way to go about this without getting out of order. No, I'll just tell you what happened. So, no, I'll wait. Hold on. Oh man, if my face isn't showing too good. No. It's absolutely not going to show too good when I have to do this screen, not even a screen overlay, but combine the two videos. So anyhow, okay, so I mentioned formal complaints, and I was talking about folks that were interested in just, what they needed in order to understand what was going on. I said start with formal complaints. Formal complaints, there's like 17 or 18 formal complaints on Facebook. None were responded to correctly. And like I said, research, like look at the data and look at the things. The only problem with that is literally 75-80% of the things that took place last year have not hit the internet. All that information is in my storage unit. So on SD cards. I never got a chance to complete. That's what the divine disclosures were for. That's what divine disclosures were for. So, you know, but that will still give you an idea of where the wrong came from, the political wrong came from, you know, in their responses and the way that they responded to the matter. Definitely, I wish I had my YouTube inventory here with me. Look, let me tell you what I'll do. For those of you, like, in the comment beneath this video, if you're just looking like for the basics, to get an understanding, that's what I'll do. I'll look over, if I get a chance to. I don't think I will, but if I get a chance to, you know, if time should permit, I'll look over that and put those things there so that you'll have something to go off of. But do what no one else likes to do. Read. Ain't no motherfucking body gonna be reading the complaints. These motherfuckers gonna be watching videos, and they're gonna be starting in 2017 and don't have an idea. You know, like, okay, never mind. I was talking about the landlord. Okay, so look, when I moved into this place, first of all, when Soma City Hospital conspired against me, you know, this is let me back it all the way up. Mind you, Suma is where I was doing my videos before I became homeless. It wasn't until they got the hint, till the angels were informed that I was now homeless, that they began to act differently. So, you know, they'd occasionally see me there. That's an extreme claim. The way I move, I make sure I don't come across folks. You get what I'm saying? So, like, it's not like I was running into people or anything. And I come and I be unbothered. It's like I was on no one's radar. And then, as soon as I became homeless, I was doing the same thing. And it was having a different effect. The effect was completely different because they had altered how I altered the image in which I was perceived, you know. So whereas, you know, during that time I was still off limits, you know, now it was like she's officially in this category, and, you know, like, she's homeless, she's isolated and destitute. So, you know, that makes her a good individual to mistreat. So I go, it's getting darker and darker really quick. I'm gonna move into the kitchen maybe. And this retarded ass nigga with his retarded ass outbursts is out. See, he doing shit he don't never do. Trying to interrupt my motherfucking video. Cause he a bitch! That's the type of shit you gotta do to people like that. Scare the fuck out they ass. Pussy ass nigga. And then you go back, because he took his pussy ass in the house. And then you go back and you be seen to see if he got anything to say. Because he's still a bitch. And he gonna continue to carry his punk faggot ass on. Them some hoe ass niggas. They was shining a fucking red light over here last night trying to act like they was doing something they can't do. That's hoes. Them is hoe ass niggas. Faggot ass nigga. These are the motherfuckers that can't even look you in your motherfucking eye when they talk. Like, they kill me. I swear. Anyhow, hold on. Let me recoup. Let me go get some wine or something. Give me a second. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I only did that because he's been one of the main ones, like, entertaining the bullshit. And I can never really catch them in the act. So, anyhow. The follow-up. This is the type of shit that happens when you're like surrounded by demonic entities. They try to cover down and make a scene for no reason. Anyhow, so that's what I'll do. Or I'll try to do if, like I said, time permits. As far as the thing with the landlord goes. Okay, so check this out. There was during a time the city had just conspired against me. They wrongfully labeled me. They lied on my affidavit. And they'd ignored the proof that was associated with the claims. They'd ignored the proof that was associated with the claims. It was all about conformance. You know, during that time, they were just trying to, if you look at our one-on-ones, that's why I say in places like those, they need to record every session. You know, like, the only thing that's recorded is if you try to go against them and they want to give you some motherfucking medicine. Like, when they decided they want to give you medicine, if you decide to object, they'll take you to court. They'll take you to court over it. Because that's part of getting with the program. Everything else before and after that is not recorded. Those are the conversations that need to be recorded. Because that's when the most information is being put on the table. You know what I'm saying? Where you're seeing these folks blatantly deny things that they aren't even able to deny. So, I get out. I have my voucher. I get my voucher in July. This takes place at the end of September. They didn't want me showing up in downtown Akron protesting. This is during the time I was protesting alone. So they got this one lonely ass motherfucking protester that keeps showing up with these extremely with this extreme I don't even know what to call it. It's like stumping the fuck out of politics. You know, that's kind of anti-politics, anti-Bible, you know, like. So you got this one lonely protester, and I keep showing up with these signs. And they had a marathon that was coming up. So you know how that goes. You know, they start calling around, they start asking around to cover their tracks. They already knew. You get what I'm saying? This they already knew what was what. And when they were calling around, they were asking around, they probably weren't getting the answers that they wanted. And the conversation by the conversation that I and the officer had that showed up, I could tell that, when they were doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing, and two, that it was an agent that knew he showed up in a place where he had no business knowing I was. So, oh my goodness, 30 minutes already. I go, and I go through this process. Like I said, this took place at the end of September. They kept me there for 3 fucking weeks. Like, big inconvenience. It's the craziest and the sickest environment. And I don't care how sedated they have their patients. It's just nasty and trifling. It's something I should have never had to be subjected to. Because the moment that you say you've seen a magic trick, bitch, it's over. You had to say you never seen a magic trick, and just saying that you don't know how magic works, you don't know the mathematical expression behind it, that's not enough. So I go and I keep ending up back in the same place. They're remote monitoring me bad. So this is September, October. They kept me 3 weeks. The 24th to like the 15th or 18th or something. No, that would be too long, like the 12th or something. Anyhow. And before that, July 21st, I believe it was, I got my AMHA voucher. Something I've never had to do. I've always been against welfare and federally funded programs. My entire life, I've been against them. So, and this is all, I get my voucher, and this is right after they murdered my cousin. And they were like, this was like the 4th person I lost at that time since this started.